months of 1888, the City of London was a place of contrast. The rich lived in bright gas-lit neighbourhoods filled with laughter and music. But in the East End, in a district called Whitechapel, life was harsh. Narrow alleys reeked of smoke, filth and desperation. It was here, in the heart of poverty and despair, that one of the world's greatest mysteries was born: Jack the Ripper. London was growing rapidly in the late 19th century. Thousands of immigrants poured into the city, searching for work. But jobs were scarce, and disease was everywhere. Many women, unable to survive otherwise, turned to prostitution. They wandered the streets at night, hoping to earn a few pennies to afford a bed in a filthy lodging house. No one knew that soon. The fog-covered alleys of Whitechapel would become a hunting ground for a killer unlike any the world had ever seen. The first murder, it began on August 31st, 1888. In the early hours of the morning, a car driver named Charles Cross was walking to work along a narrow street called Buck S Row. In the dim light of his lantern, he saw what he thought was a bundle of rags lying on the ground, but as he got closer, he froze. It wasn't rags. It was the body of a woman. Her name was Mary Ann Nichols, known by friends as Polly. Her throat had been cut deeply, and her abdomen was slashed open. Police were called, but evidence was scarce. No one had seen or heard anything. The newspapers reported the story the next morning, calling it a horrible murder in Whitechapel. Few could imagine that this was only the beginning. A city in fear. A week later, on September 8th, another woman was found dead. Her name was Annie Chapman. She had been murdered in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. Her throat was slit and her body mutilated in a way that suggested the killer had medical knowledge. Horrified, the idea that a murderer was stalking the poor women of Whitechapel spread like wildfire. Crowds gathered at the crime scenes, journalists flooded the area, and for the first time, the police realised that this was not random violence. It was the work of a serial killer before the term even existed. Scotland Yard formed a special task force. Detectives questioned doctors, butchers, and anyone seen wandering the streets late at night. Yet no solid leads emerged. The killer moved like a ghost. Letters from hell. Then came the letters. In late September, the Central News Agency received a blood-red letter signed Jack the Ripper. It read, "Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I love my work and I want to start again. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." The name was terrifying, and it stuck. Whether the letters were genuine or not, they gave the killer a voice, a name, and a legend that would never die. The double event on the night of September 30th, 1888, terror reached its peak. 2 murders occurred within an hour of each other. The first victim was Elizabeth Stride, found in Tuckfield's yard. Her throat had been cut, but her body was not mutilated. Some believe the killer was interrupted before he could finish. Less than an hour later, police discovered another body, Catherine Eddowes, in Mitre Square. This time, the attack This was the Ripper's last known victim. After Mary Kelly, the killings stopped, just as suddenly as they had begun. The investigation, hundreds of officers combed the streets. Over 2,000 people were interviewed. More than 300 suspects were considered, and 80 were detained. Yet no one was ever charged. Among the most famous suspects was Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber who lived in Whitechapel. He was known to have violent tendencies and mental illness. Another was Montague John Druitt, a schoolteacher and barrister who drowned himself in the Thames shortly after the last murder. Some believed the killer was a doctor, perhaps a surgeon or a butcher, skilled with a knife. Others whispered that he was a member of the royal family, or even a Freemason, protected by powerful forces. In 1888, forensic science was still primitive. There were no fingerprints, no DNA, no cameras in the streets. The killer could vanish into the fog within seconds. The legacy of fear, the Whitechapel murders changed the world. They inspired books, plays, and endless speculation. Jack the Ripper became the face of evil, a symbol of the darkness that hides behind civilization. To this day, the identity of the Ripper remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Modern researchers have used DNA evidence, handwriting analysis, and historical records. Some claim that the mystery has been solved, pointing again to Aaron Kosminski, but the evidence is weak and the debate continues. More than a century later, the fog still hangs over London's East End. Tourists walk the same streets where the victims once lived. They stop by the sites, listen to guides tell the stories, and feel a chill in the air. Some swear they can still hear footsteps echoing through the mist. Conclusion: Jack the Ripper was never caught. He left behind no clues, only terror, speculation, and a shadow that still lingers over London. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a symbol of fear itself, a reminder that even in the heart of a great empire, evil can walk among the innocent, unseen and unknown. And so, the legend continues. Jack the Ripper, the shadow that never fades from the